Today we are going to listen to a fairy tale from the 1800s written by the brothers Grimm, The Girl with No Hands. It's no suitable fairy tale for kids. It's no suitable story for anyone who get triggered by gruesome stories. I do apologize for my audio because I'm once again recording this from my phone. I hope you excuse me from that. And a very warm welcome to the second video of my YouTube channel. I really appreciated your comments on the last video, and please feel free to make me smile with another comment and give me some ideas on which fairy tale I definitely should tell you guys the next time. Okay, so here we start. I'm going to read you the really dark and insane story of the brothers Grimm of the girl with no hands. A miller had little by little fallen into poverty. He had nothing left but his mill and the large apple tree behind it. One day he went into the forest to fetch wood. An old man stepped up to him, who he had never seen before, and said, "Why are you tiring yourself with cutting wood? I will make you rich if you promise me what is standing behind your mill." "What can that be but my apple tree?" the miller thought. And so he said, "Yes," and he gave a written promise to the stranger. The stranger laughed mockingly and said, "When 3 years have passed, I will come and carry what belongs to me." And then he went. When the miller arrived home, his wife came to meet him and said, "Tell me, where does this sudden wealth come from? All at once, every box and chest was filled. No one brought it in, and I know not how it happened." He answered, "It comes from a stranger who met me in the forest and promised me great treasure. I, in return, have promised him what stands behind the mill. We can very well give him the big apple tree for it." "Ah, husband," the terrified wife said, "that must have been the devil. He did not mean the apple tree, but our daughter, who was standing behind the mill, sweeping the yard." The miller's daughter was a beautiful and pious girl. She lived through the 3 years in the fear of God and without sin. When the 3 years were past and the day came when the evil one would come for her, she washed herself clean and made a circle around her with chalk. The devil appeared quite early, but he could not come near her. Angrily, he said to the miller, "Take all water away from her, that may no longer be able to wash herself, for otherwise I have no power over her." The miller was afraid and did so. The next morning the devil came again, but she had wept on her hands and they were quite clean. Again he could not get near her, and he furiously said to the miller, "Cut off her hands, or else I cannot get the better of her." The miller was shocked and answered, "How could I cut off my own child's hands?" The evil one threatened him and said, "If you do not do it, you are mine, and I will take you yourself." The father became alarmed and promised to obey him. So he went to the girl and said, "My child, if I do not cut off both your hands, the devil will carry me away. In my terror, I have promised to do it. Help me in my need and forgive me the harm I do to you." She replied, "Dear father, do with me what you have will. I am your child." She laid down both of her hands and let them be cut off. The devil came for the third time, but she had wept so long and so much on the stumps that after all they were quite clean. He had to give in and lost all right over her. The miller said to her, "Because of you, I am so wealthy. I will care for you as long as you live." But she replied, "I cannot stay here. I will go forth. Compassionate people will give me as much as I need." She let her maimed arms be bound to her back and by sunrise set out on her way. She walked the whole day until night fell, and she arrived at the royal garden. By the shimmering of the moon, she saw that trees covered with beautiful fruits grew in it, but she could not enter, for there was water all around it. As she has walked the whole day and not eaten one mouthful, hunger tormented her. She thought, "Ah, if I only was inside and I could eat some fruits, here I will die of hunger." She knelt down, called on God the Lord, and prayed. Suddenly, an angel came toward her, who made a dam in the water. The moat became dry, and she could walk through it. Into the garden she went with the angel. She saw a tree covered with beautiful pears. They were all counted. She went to them. To still her hunger, she ate one with her mouth from the tree, but no more. The gardener was watching. Seeing the angel, he was afraid and thought she was a spirit. So he stayed silent, not calling to her and not speaking to her. After eating the pear, she was satisfied and went and concealed herself among the bushes. The king, to whom the garden belonged, came down to it next morning. He counted and saw that one of the pears was missing. He asked the gardener what had become of it, as it was not laying beneath the tree, but was gone. The gardener answered, "Last night a spirit came in, who had no hands, and ate off one of the pears with its mouth." The king said, "How did the spirit get over the water, and where did it go after it eaten the pear?" "Someone came in a snow-white garment from heaven, who made a dam, which kept back the water that the spirit might walk through the moat. As it must have been an angel, I was afraid, and asked no questions, and did not cry out. When the spirit had eaten the pear, it went back again." The king said, "If it's like you say, I will watch with you tonight." The king meets the miller's daughter. When it grew dark, the king came into the garden and brought a priest with him, who was to speak with the spirit. All three seated themselves beneath the tree and watched. At midnight, the maiden came, creeping out of the thicket, went to the tree, and again ate one of the pear off it with her mouth. Beside her stood the angel in white garments. Then the priest went out to them and said, "Are you from heaven or from earth? A spirit or a human being?" She replied, "I am not a spirit, but an unhappy mortal, deserted by all but God." The king said, "If you are forsaken by all the world, I will take care of you." He took her with him into his royal palace. She was so beautiful and good, and he loved her with all his heart. He had silver hands made for her and took her to be his wife. After a year, the king had to go into his kingdom, so he commanded his young queen to take care of his mother. He said, "If she is brought to the bed, take care of her, nurse her well, and tell me of it at once in a letter." The queen gave birth to a fine boy, so the old mother hasted to write and announce the joyful news to the king. The messenger rested by a brook on the way. As he was fatigued by the great distance, he fell asleep. The devil approached. Always seeking to injure the good queen, he exchanged the letter for another, in which was written that the queen has brought a monster into this world. When the king read the letter, he was shocked and very troubled. He wrote in an answer that they were to take the great care of the queen and nurse her well until his arrival. The messenger went back with the letter, but rested at the same place and again fell asleep. Once more the devil came and put a different letter in his pocket, in which it was written that they were to put the queen and her child to death. The old mother was terribly shocked when she received the letter and could not believe it. She wrote back to the king, but received no other answer because each time the devil substituted a false letter. In the last letter, it was also written that she was to preserve the queen's tongue and eyes as a token that she had obeyed. The old mother wept to think such an innocent blood was to be shed. She had a hint brought by night and cut out her tongue and eyes and kept them. She said to the queen, I cannot kill you as the king commands, but here you cannot stay any longer. Go out into the wide world with your child and never come here again. The poor woman tied her child on her back and went away with eyes full of tears. She arrived in a great wild forest, where she fell on her knees and prayed to God. The angel of Lord appeared to her and led her to a little house. On it was a sign that said, Here all dwell free. A snow-white woman came out of the little house and said, Welcome, Lady Queen. She was taken inside, and they unbound the little boy from her back. They held him to her breast, that he might feed, and laid him in a beautifully made little bed. The poor woman asked, How did you know that I was a queen? The white woman answered, I am an angel sent by God to watch you and your child. The queen stayed 7 years in the little house. She was well cared for, and by God's grace, because of her piety, her hands has been cut off, grew back once more. The king comes home and searches for his wife. Meanwhile, the king had come up from the war. His first wish was to see his wife and the child. His aged mother began to weep and said, You wicked man! Why did you write to me that I was to take those 2 innocent lives? She showed to him the 2 letters which the evil one had forged and then continued, I did as you commanded. She showed the tokens, the tongue and the eyes. The king began to weep for his poor wife and his little son so much more bitterly than she was doing. Then the aged wife mother had compassion on him and said, Be at peace, she still lives. I secretly ordered a hind to be killed and took these tokens from it. The child I bound to your wife's back, and I sent her out into the wild world. I made her promise to never come back here again because you were so angry with her. The king said, I will go as far as the sky is blue. I will neither eat nor drink until I have found again my dear wife and my child. In the meantime, they have not been killed or died of hunger. And so the king traveled about for 7 long years. He sought her in every cleft of the rocks and in every cave, but didn't find her and thought she had died of want. During the whole of this time, he neither ate nor drank, but God supported him. At last, he came into a great forest and found there the little house with the sign, Here all dwell free. Forth came the white maiden, took him by the hand, led him in, and said, Welcome, Lord King. She asked him where he came from. He answered, Soon I will have traveled for 7 years, seeking my wife and her child, and not finding them. The angel offered him food and drink, but he did not take anything and only wished for rest a little. He lay down to sleep and put a handkerchief over his face. The angel went into the chamber where the queen sat with her son. She was used to call the boy sorrowful. She said to her, Go out with your child, your husband has arrived. She went to the place where he was sleeping, and the handkerchief fell from his face. Sorrowful, pick up your father's handkerchief and cover his face again, she said. The child picked it up and put it over his face again. The king in his sleep heard what passed and had pleasure in letting the handkerchief fall once more. The child grew impatient and said, Dear mother, how can I cover my father's face when I have no father in this world? I have learned to say the prayer, Our Father, which art in heaven. And you told me that my father was in heaven. You told me my father was the good God. How can I know a wild man like this? He is not my father." When the king heard that, he got up and asked who they were. She said, "I'm your wife, and that's your son, Sorrowful." He saw her living hands and said, "My wife had silver hands." She answered, "The good God has caused my natural hands to grow again." The angel went into the inner room, brought the silver hands, and showed them to him. Then he knew for certain that it was her, his dear wife, and his dear child. He kissed them, was glad, and said, "A heavy stone has fallen off my heart." The angel of God gave them one more meal with her, and after they went to home, to the king's aged mother, everybody was rejoicing. The king and queen were married again and lived contentedly to their happy end. That was the fairy tale. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you leave a comment and give a little subscribe to my channel, because those two actions mean the world to me, and it will make me grow, and it will tell me to continue this newfound quest in my life, in my path of destiny, to continue with this channel. I really want to know if you found this story inspiring or a bit scary, maybe, or what the meaning was behind it for you. What did you take from it? Did you learn something about having faith? Maybe about love, or the fact that you should never give up on your loved ones? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for sticking around all of these little moments with me where you spent your time with me. I really, really appreciate you so much. Until the next time.